listeners! Welcome back to another episode of Let's Think Green. We're an environmental podcast for people who care about the environment and want to learn what they can do to mitigate environmental issues. I'm your host, Ria, and if you love clear call to actions, then this episode is for you because today we'll be thinking and talking about 5 ways that you can lower your plastic consumption. Have any of you ever heard of Henderson Island? Most likely not. It's an island located in the South Pacific Ocean between Chile and New Zealand, and it's one of the most remote islands in the world. It's surrounded by 3,100 miles of water, and not a single soul lives there. It's one of the most biodiverse islands in the world, and it's a UNESCO heritage site because of its ecological importance. Despite this island being so tiny and so remote, it has the world's highest density of trash. 38 million pieces of plastic were found on this island. Plastic from all over the world, including Germany and Canada, which are opposite sides of the world. Obviously, that trash got there because it was either in a landfill or it entered from the waterways, it got into the oceans, and then currents and winds and carried it to this island, among other places. According to the McKinsey Center for Business and Environment, there is 165 million tons of plastic in the ocean. And there are more microscopic particles in the ocean than stars in the sky. The amount of plastic entering the ocean and polluting islands such as Henderson Island is projected to increase dramatically in the coming years. And our waste infrastructure clearly cannot cope with all this plastic. Our environment and our ecosystems cannot continue dealing with the amount of plastic that we throw. It's important that we stop using plastic. So without further ado, here are 5 ways that you can decrease your plastic consumption. The first one, this one's really simple, and I'm sure you've heard it a bunch of times. I'm gonna say it again. Stop using plastic water bottles. They were one of the most found pieces of trash in our oceans. 500 billion plastic bottles are sold each year. In the United States, more than 1,500 plastic bottles are used every second. In 2016, only about 23% of water bottles used in America were recycled. So the ones that weren't recycled obviously ended up in our oceans and are now polluting it. Clearly, we all gotta stop using those plastic water bottles. Get yourself a nice metal one instead of a new plastic one every single day. The metal one will last you far longer. I understand in some cases you just have to use plastic water bottles, like if you're going on vacation and you're going on a park, it's sometimes easier to have those plastic water bottles with you. So make sure they end up in a recycling bin. Nowadays, there are recycling bins everywhere, especially if you go to national parks or some recreation centers, even in shopping centers and malls, they are all over the place. Now, if you are recycling, if you do use a water bottle and you recycle it, then make sure you recycle it correctly. It's not enough to just throw it in the recycling bin. What you want to do is unscrew the cap. You want to crush all the air out of the water bottle by twisting it, and then put the cap back on and then throw it to that recycling bin. Of course, make sure that there's no water left in it. See, it's really that simple, and this will increase the likelihood of that water bottle being recycled. You don't want to take the cap off and then put that in separately because then the caps go through gaps in the machine and then it will not get recycled then. Our second tip is to use your own coffee mugs. 25 billion coffee cups, hot disposable coffee cups, are used every year and few of them get recycled. Although coffee cups by appearance look recyclable because of their cardboard feel, they actually aren't because of a thin layer of plastic on the inside. What you can do is every time you go to Starbucks, bring your own coffee cup, your own ceramic reusable coffee cup. Starbucks has this program that if you do bring one in, then they'll give you a 10-cent discount on the drink that you purchase. That sounds like a great deal to me, especially if you drink coffee or go to Starbucks quite often. Or better yet, make your own drink at home. Buy some ground coffee beans, get your own coffee machine, and then you don't have to make that daily Starbucks run. you can just make it at home and save some plastic. Our third tip is chew plastic-free gum. Now, you might be surprised to learn that gums are made out of plastic, essentially. They're made out of a synthetic polymer or petroleum-based polymers that are the same material used in tires. So when you chew gum, obviously you throw it in the trash, and then it doesn't break down or decompose unlike most foods. The average American chews 300 sticks of gum a year, so that's a lot of gum that's going in the trash. And if instead we gum chewers invested in plastic-free gums or gums made out of all natural materials, then the 300 pieces of gum that each American is throwing out everywhere will instead be 300 pieces of gum that will decompose in the trash and not pollute our cities and not pollute waterways. The fourth thing is to avoid clothes made out of synthetic materials such as rayon, spandex, and polyester. The main problem is that when such clothes are washed in washing machines, these clothes release microscopic fibers into the water system and eventually water bodies. In a study published by Marine Pollution Bulletin, it was found that washing one polyester garment in a domestic washing machine releases almost 500,000 fibers. And washing a polyester cotton garment releases almost 200,000 fibers per wash. That's a lot of microplastics that we're letting enter our waterway. Microplastics, in short, are really bad for ecosystems and marine life, and they can even affect human health if we're not careful. If you want to learn more about microplastics, check out one of our first episodes, a little self-promo here. It's a great one. You learn a lot about microplastics and exactly why they're bad for the ecosystem. Now, you may think that all the water that passes through your washing machine and through the pipes and stuff, they obviously go through wastewater treatments. However, microplastics and microfibers are so tiny that they aren't filtered out of the water, they just go straight through. So there isn't even a reliable way to get rid of them from the water. So instead of spending a lot of money on getting polyester clothes, maybe invest your money in a few good quality cotton garments that will last you a really long time and not shed as much. And the last one. Don't throw your food scraps away. Now this one might seem interesting because, well, how are food scraps related to plastic? Well, you throw your food scraps in plastic bags. And if you stop throwing your food scraps in plastic bags, then those plastic bags are not going into the trash and then into landfills and then spilling their contents into the ocean. According to the EPA, food scraps in yard waste makes up 30% of what Americans throw away. So if you stop throwing your food scraps in yard waste, then you are decreasing the number of plastic bags you use. So what are you supposed to do with these food scraps if you're not supposed to throw them away? Well, you can compost them, sort of. You can either actually compost them and do the whole proper technique thing, or you could do what Pragya and I do. You can dig a hole in your backyard, dump your food scraps in there, and put some dirt back on top. And then after a couple of weeks, break those food scraps and yard waste and grass clippings and stuff will break down and give the soil some really good nutrients. And then you can use that soil in your gardens. If you have a tree, if you don't have a garden, you don't have a vegetable garden or flowers that really need it, I'm sure you have a big old tree in your front yard or in your backyard. So dump it there and your tree will love it. Oh, by the way, if you are a gardener and you want to know what flowers you should plant that are environmentally friendly, check out our biodiversity episode. That's it. We have reached the end. That was 5 ways that you can decrease your plastic consumption. If you like this what's the word? If you like this format of episodes where we list easy ways that you can do things, then let us know in the YouTube comment sections, or you can let us know on our Instagram page or on our website. We would love some feedback from you all about what you're liking, what you think we could improve on, stuff like that. Also, our Instagram is Let's Think Green Podcast, so you can follow us there. And if you're doing some environmental related activism or research, if you're working on a cool environmental project, doing some research or some activism or anything in between, we would love to hear from you and maybe even interview you on our podcast. If that sounds like you, then please reach out to us. You can email us at thinkgreenpod@gmail.com or reach us through or reach us through our Instagram page. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all next week. Let's think green.